Aloha, everyone. This is Dr. BethAnne K.W, and this is May's Mid-Month Magic, where I do a video at mid-month to check in on what the Akashic Records had to say about the month of May, and just do a refresher of what were some of the highlights of that, and some information that you can reflect on to think about how is this energy showing up for you and your individual journey at this time. The Akashic Records called this month for the collective a month of earth shifts and personal power. They actually gave us two predominant themes that were happening this month. And when I opened the records for the month of May, something that was really interesting is that I felt almost a sense of like shifting plate tectonics, like things might be moving in a big energetic way. This could also manifest on the planet experiencing movement itself at this time. And I had this really playful image come through where it was very cartoony, so nothing in this felt threatening, but it felt like we had like a bunch of us were cartoon characters and we were standing on the beach, and I watched this like big wave come and pick us up, and it carried us and took us like way down the beach, maybe even like a few beaches down, and like put us on a new shore. And we're kind of like dusting ourselves off and saying, whoa, like what just happened? Where are we? How did I get here? And that was a metaphor for how some of us might feel as we've stepped into May of 2023. There have been a lot of shifts in our lives across multiple platforms over the last few years, and one of the messages for the month of May was this idea that many of us have had a plan of how we thought it was going to look. We might have even stepped into 2023 with a plan. And maybe we said, like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And here we are in May, and we're looking around, and many of us might be saying, well, those things either didn't happen at all, or they haven't happened the way that I expected. So there is a sense of some of us finding ourselves on new territory and new ground. And the records gave us this really beautiful guidance to throw out the plan, throw out what we thought we knew, how we expected it to go, and really do an evaluation of what is presenting itself to you, what has been showing up in your life, where are you at, even if some of that information or circumstances are unexpected, and ask the question, how do I best move forward from this point on? The records were clear that this is not a time to go backwards. It is a time to continue moving forwards. And ways that we sometimes go backwards are to like self-reflect to what we feel was maybe a better time in our life, or I call it an incarnation of ourself that we really liked, like a slightly younger self, whether that was 6 months ago or a year ago or 5 years ago. And we have this tendency to look with rose-colored glasses and say, I liked who I was then, or I liked where things were at then. If I could only get back there, or how did I get so far off track? I was trying to move in this direction and I find myself all the way over here, and I just need to go back to start, and I need to start over. And the records guidance was not at all. It is always helpful for our psychological well-being to do some self-reflection, and if we feel like we've really veered from the direction we wanted to go, of course at any time we can press restart, or we can choose to go back to the start and choose to have a do-over if we want to declare that in our own lives. But collectively and individually, the overwhelming sense of guidance right now is to start where you're at, even if that's different from where you expected yourself to be, and to just allow for what is and keep moving forward with that. Many of us are, actually not many of us, all of us are part of a greater alchemy, and we are part of multiple cycles unfolding at the same time. We've got the cosmic stuff happening, and that is all the astro transits and things that usually happen. We're just kind of finishing out eclipse season. There's a Taurus new moon on Friday the 19th, and that will kind of capstone the end of eclipse season. And those cosmic transits and what's happening with the planets tend to have a collective impact on us. And for those of us who might track those things and are interested in how their influences might show up, we certainly have these observable ways where we notice, okay, this is impacting my life right now. Like if you have ever tried to move something forward, and let's say Mercury is retrograding over some very personal planets in your chart, and no matter what happens, like you just can't get the traction. Sometimes there's just not a timing to it in like the bigger picture sense, and you just have to have a little bit more patience. And then we also have Earth cycles that are happening at this time. And I don't just mean with nature and the seasons and what is happening on the planet, but I mean things that are happening to the collective. We were all working with not only how the earth is healing herself, but the systems that are currently set up on the earth. And so there's factors like economics and job stuff, and the way that exchanges are shifting at this time, the way that some socioeconomic political stuff is shifting at this time. So I always think of those as like, these are these big umbrellas. The cosmic one is the biggest. What's happening on our planet is next. Like if we were making a rainbow of layers, and then underneath all of that is us and our personal journey and where we're at, what we're trying to grow, and what we are trying to actualize. And our wisdom as spiritual beings is to figure out what's happening with the bigger cycles, and to have, I think it helps us to have self-awareness of that. It just gives us some information about how to best direct our energy, and we can work within those cycles. And we are encouraged this month to work within whatever cycles might be going on, however it's hitting you. Personal power was the second part of the message for this month. And we were told this is a month about stepping into our power and standing in our power in new ways. We were encouraged to play with the concept of power and think about, how am I already powerful in my own life? Like, how might my voice be powerful? How might my thoughts or my actions be powerful? How is my heart powerful? If I really set my heart to something and I am working on a heart-based manifestation or making a heart-based change in my life, how much inner power do I have to bring that out and create something in this world? And I love that the record said, play with it. And their guidance was, don't worry so much about like getting it right or getting it wrong. It's not really about that. It is about working with the concept of personal empowerment and personal power in new ways, and looking for the ways that you can be powerful in this life right now, exactly where you're at. All right. I am seeing that it's time to wrap these up. I try and keep this under 10 minutes. So the overarching message right now is keep calm, carry on, and stand in your power. And that is what we have been guided to do for May. So I am wishing everybody luck with that. I am very curious as to what wisdom June has for us from the Akashic Records. I can already feel that the energy feels a little less bumpier, a little less dynamic, and like there might be more fluidity and flow. So I will be back here next month to share what the Akashic Records have to say about the message for the month of June. In the meantime, if you're curious about the Akashic Records or want to learn more or look at getting a reading for yourself, you can find me at drbethanne.com. I have a lot of resources teaching about the records and things to tap into if you want to learn more about that. I am also on my podcast, Your Heart Magic, weekly, sharing wisdom from the Akashic and some psychology and well-being and spirituality and intuition and anything else that feels like it's relevant to heart wisdom and living well at this time. Thank you so much for joining me in this mid-month magic video. I will see you next month, and until then, be well, be love, be you, and be magic. Aloha, everyone.